What up? This is Ramashkrin covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of Netflix's new movie, Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Hey, before you watch my review, please subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell, so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. Let's rock this! You know me, I'm always the first in line to check out whatever latest TV or film adaptation based on Stephen King's work. What can I say? I'm a big fan of the world-renowned master of horror. But in the case of Mr. Harrigan's Phone, because the original material is only a short story or a short novella, the result is a film that's sorely lacking. It doesn't seem to have much to draw from. The story doesn't feel complete, like it's missing some necessary climactic moment. After the ghost phone makes its presence known, it then has two sets of similar incidents, and that's about it. And then it eventually goes straight to a tepid resolve that's insultingly unwarranted. So yeah, this movie has so much potential, but unfortunately, it comes up short. Pun intended. Based on the short story by Stephen King, scripted and directed by John Lee Hancock, in Mr. Harrigan's Phone, when Craig, a young boy living in a small town, befriends Mr. Harrigan, an older reclusive billionaire, the two begin to form an unlikely bond over their love of books and reading. But when Mr. Harrigan sadly passes away, Craig discovers that not everything is dead and gone, and strangely finds himself able to communicate with his friend from the grave through the iPhone in this supernatural coming-of-age story that shows that certain connections are never lost. Starring Donald Sutherland, Jaden Martell, and Kirby Howell-Baptiste. The thing is with director John Lee Hancock, even when some of his movies make buzz, like The Blind Side or Saving Mr. Banks for example, it's usually one or two things about said movies that stand out, as opposed to their overall quality. 8 out of 10 times, John Lee Hancock's movies don't even live up to their own marketing. The Highwayman was advertised as some kind of crusader action, but it turned out to be a super boring film. And who can forget the little things that tried and failed to imitate the success of David Fincher's classic masterpiece, Seven, which brings us back to Mr. Harrigan's Phone. For this one, John Lee Hancock keeps it basic, as he almost always does, just coasting along and letting the New England setting numb you from the fact that this was supposed to be a horror film, or at least it's being sold that way. But Mr. Harrigan's Phone is all bark and no bite. Performance-wise, Donald Sutherland and Jaden Martell are just okay. Donald's character is like a softer version of Ebenezer Scrooge, if ever there was one. And Jaden's acting here can be described as hitting just the right notes, no more, no less. Jaden, who has had an experience with a much scarier film in It, another Stephen King adaptation, looks very unchallenged by this role in this film. I mean, that's the impression I get anyway. I know that Jaden is the kind of talented young actor who can go the distance if given the chance, but as I implied earlier, Mr. Harrigan's Phone just doesn't have a kick to it. It has the setup, the build-up, and the mystery of receiving text messages from beyond the grave captures your curiosity, but sadly, that is where the intrigue ends. And John Lee Hancock is just not a good enough storyteller to be able to fill in those blanks. Which is a shame because Mr. Harrigan's Phone could have gone in a terrifying direction, maybe even an explosive one. But instead, what we get is this mild and underwhelming film.